Hey everyone, it's Coffee with Eddie. We're in downtown Perrysburg and we're at Maddie and Bella's. Let's go inside and see who's waiting for us. Hey everyone, it's Eddie Campos with the Campos Real Estate Group of ReMax Preferred Associates. This is Coffee with Eddie. We're still visiting with my friend Tom Hosler, Perrysburg Superintendent of Schools. And Tom, I want to start out with a sensitive subject. The Ohio school report cards.
Okay.
I know that every time I speak to someone like Dr. Kramer or Dr. Durant, they just kind of shake their head for a minute and we proceed to talk about it. What's your interpretation of what's happened over the past 4 or 5 years with the report cards?
Sure. The idea of the report card was to come out with a very simple way that school districts could demonstrate how they're doing to their stakeholders. So in theory, who wouldn't want that?
Right.
And if you talk to those superintendents, they are all about accountability, as we are. Problem is, what we have is an 18-page document trying to explain how it works and all the different grades and all the different measurements. And frankly, parents have a hard time understanding it. And most frustrating is it really doesn't capture the things that are really important to what we do. Mm-hmm. And when you talk about a graduate getting a diploma from Perrysburg, what are those qualities that you want them to have and to possess as they go out into college and the work world? Those aren't necessarily showing up on that report card.
Right.
And so when those report cards come out, there's a 48-hour news cycle that goes with it. The amount of phone calls I've gotten from community members in the last 5 years on the state report card is probably one. And that's true of Perrysburg, which is a high-performing district, and it's also true of districts that maybe aren't performing as well. Sure. On that report card. But there's so many other things that go into a quality education that do not show up there. We just talked about the performing arts.
Right.
Where does that show up?
Exactly.
It doesn't. You know, we talked about students and kindness and all the community service that we really focus on here. Where does that show up?
Absolutely.
It doesn't. But those are the kind of experiences we're hearing from employers and colleges that they want students to come with.
Well, and you know, one of the things I noticed on here is on the report card, it shows that Perrysburg's graduation rate is an A, but their preparation for success is a C. I don't really understand that. You would think those two things would go hand in hand, and it kind of tells me that it might be skewed in the report.
Right, and they're measuring different kinds of things, so it makes it very challenging for us to understand what it is that they're really asking us to do. If you set the bar there, give us an opportunity to work up and we'll get over that bar, but when the bar is constantly moving, it makes it really challenging for us. And that's a newer standard that we're being measured on, and we're just trying to understand what it means. And some of these grades are just really measuring 30 students. And you get a grade for those 30 students, and then people are like, well, what does this grade mean? And it's like, well, it's this subgroup of a elementary school. And people are like, well, why does it show up?
Right.
But that grade, people have a hard time understanding that. But it's certainly a challenge, and trying to explain value added and growth and those kinds of things. People's eyes glaze over. They just want to know, are kids learning? Are they doing good things? And we work really hard to provide that answer.
Well, I know that the reputation in Northwest Ohio for Perrysburg schools and many other school districts is very positive. So I'm hoping that this doesn't have a negative reflection upon Perrysburg. I know from a real estate standpoint, it's one of the first questions people ask when they're moving into our area, relocating, is, you know, what is the school district like?
Right.
So fortunately, Perrysburg and many other districts have a very positive impression upon the community. So thanks for working so hard to make that happen.
Thank you. Thanks. And thanks for plugging into the districts and asking us to give you a little bit more information. It means so much. And we have so many new families in our community that we really look for ways to get that message out there. So thank you.
Well, it's a great opportunity. I appreciate the conversations I get to have with Tom Hosler with Perrysburg Schools. This is episode 27 of Coffee with Eddie. We'll see you next week.